Welcome, educators, to The Explainer. So if you've been hearing whispers about the new English Language Proficiency Standards, or ELPS, and you're sitting there wondering exactly how these 2024 ELPS standard changes are actually going to shift your daily lesson plans, well, you are in the exact right place. You can basically consider this your ultimate highly structured cheat sheet. We're going to decode all these upcoming updates, taking all that dense compliance language and translating it straight into actionable classroom routines. Let's just jump right in.
Okay, here's our blueprint for today. We are going to cover 1. The 2024 ELPS rollout. 2. Integrating learning strategies. 3. Updates to listening skills. 4. Reading with contextual supports. 5. Expressing ideas in writing. And finally, 6. Formal versus informal language.
Section 1. The 2024 ELPS rollout. We've got to begin by tackling every educator's most urgent question, right? The timeline. When do these changes actually take effect in the classroom and on state assessments?
So, while you might be prepping for this right now, full instructional implementation officially kicks off in the 2026-2027 school year. But honestly, here is the huge sigh of relief for your testing anxieties. TELPAS, the Texas English Language Proficiency Assessment System, is not going to suddenly test everything brand new all at once. No way. For those first two testing cycles, the 26-27 and 27-28 school years, TELPAS will only test the overlapping standards between the old 2007 ELPs and the new 2024 ELPs.
During this transition phase, it's really all about that overlap. Those overlapping center areas of the standards represent exactly what your emergent bilingual students will actually be accountable for during that 2-year testing window. Honestly, it gives both you and your students a beautifully buffered runway to sort of naturally adjust to the new expectations.
Section 2. Integrating the learning strategies. This brings us to what is arguably the biggest structural twist in the entire 2024 update.
You know, you might notice something completely missing when you first glance at the new standards documents. The entire standalone learning strategies strand from 2007, those standards 1A through 1H, it's been totally removed as its own separate category.
But don't panic. Those essential skills aren't actually gone at all. They've just evolved. Instead of treating learning strategies like some isolated checklist, the 2024 ELPs have integrated these expectations directly across the 4 core language domains. And guys, this is a massive philosophical shift. It means that tapping into prior knowledge, or using self-corrective techniques, or concept mapping, these aren't just isolated strategies you teach on a random Friday anymore. They are now a totally seamless, embedded part of all your daily listening, speaking, reading, and writing instruction.
Section 3. Updates to listening skills. Let's move into the specific domains to see exactly how this integration works in practice, starting with what students will be doing during listening tasks.
The instructional impact here is incredibly actionable. The updated standards explicitly mandate that educators provide varied, simple ways for students to actually prove they comprehend spoken English. It's not just about verbal replies anymore, which, let's be real, is fantastic news for your shy students. You're now structurally encouraged to accept pointing, gestures, or even drawings as completely valid proof of comprehension. On top of that, classroom routines really need to deliberately shift toward giving clear directions in small steps, gradually moving from one-step to multi-step routines, and actively teaching content vocabulary during everyday classroom talk.
There's also an explicit brand new focus in the listening domain. Students are now expected to use context clues to figure out figurative language and idioms directly from what they hear in classroom materials. Think about that for a second. You can't just assume they'll naturally pick up on your everyday classroom idioms anymore. You actually have to intentionally create routines where students listen to descriptive language, parse it out, and then get a chance to explain their thinking through talking, drawing, or writing. Section 4. Reading with contextual supports. Transitioning over here, the emphasis shifts heavily toward how students interact with their texts and the specific scaffolds we provide.
The 2024 reading standards make it an absolute top priority for teachers to actively guide students in utilizing their surroundings to comprehend text, right? It is no longer just about decoding words on a page. The new ELPS require us to explicitly teach students how to lean on visual supports, context clues, and linguistic scaffolds to pull meaning from really complex academic reading materials. Your lesson plan should be giving them consistent practice, not just in reading the text itself, but in actively demonstrating exactly how they used a provided visual or a specific context clue to unlock the meaning of that text.
Section 5. Expressing ideas in writing. Next up is the writing domain, where the expectations have gotten significantly more defined.
Check out this highly specific new addition to the writing standards. Students are now explicitly expected to fulfill distinct content area writing needs. They aren't just generally writing in English. They must specifically learn how to narrate, describe, explain, respond, and persuade, all with increasing specificity and detail. I mean, this completely changes the game for cross-curricular alignment. It means a math or science teacher is now just as responsible for these nuanced writing purposes as the English teacher is.
Practically speaking, what does this mean? It means your classroom routines have to shift to include explicit modeling for all of these various writing purposes. You've got to give students regular, daily opportunities to write using their newly acquired high-frequency and content area vocabulary. And it goes beyond just getting words onto the paper. The updated standards heavily emphasize teaching students how to purposefully vary their sentence lengths and use connecting words to build cohesive academic texts.
Section 6. Formal versus informal language. To truly grasp the new reporting categories across all these domains we've talked about, we have to clarify two foundational concepts that the 2024 ELPS lean on super heavily.
The standards now distinctly separate our expectations into two buckets. First up is informal or social language. This is the English needed to effectively interact, exchange ideas, and literally just chat in various settings. It's your hallway and playground language. Then we have formal or academic language. This is the oral and written language used specifically to build knowledge, participate in high-level content discourse, and process complex school subjects. Understanding this distinction is absolutely vital because the new reporting categories specifically assess a student's ability to navigate between these two totally distinct registers of English.
We've covered a ton of ground today, from that 2026 rollout timeline and the integration of learning strategies all the way to the specific new nuances in listening, reading, and writing. So as you digest this blueprint, I want to leave you with this thought. Looking at your upcoming lesson plans for next week, which of these structural changes, maybe it's accepting a drawn response or explicitly teaching a fun idiom, which one will you implement first? Start small for sure, but start purposefully. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I absolutely cannot wait to see how you bring the 2024 ELPS standard changes to life in your own classrooms.